Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas.
Well, Santa, I didn't know you lived here.
Yeah, well, Santa doesn't live here, but my belly is sure Santa-ish.
Shakes with like a bowl full of jelly.
Yes, right, right. Yeah, you could say that. And maybe 2025 I can make something happen about that.
Yeah.
So, Merry Christmas to everybody out there listening, and Happy New Year.
I like how Christmas and New Year are sandwiched together because Christmas is like this big celebration of the year, and then New Year's is your chance to, contemplate and
And our
make
podcast is
changes.
about time.
Yes.
And so a day in the year, both of those are time references, a day and year.
Hmm.
That Christmas is one day in the year that gives us an opportunity to reflect and decompress and be with family and friends and
And
share
remember
gifts and eat
what's
food
really important
and
and
remember
the
what's really
Christmas story
important.
and
And yeah, that Jesus died on the cross and died for our sins and
well,
etc. There's freedom and
right.
liberty in all of that,
Hmm.
forgiveness, and
Yes.
maybe more important than all of that combined is grace.
Grace is always the most important thing.
Yeah, is grace. And grace is, I think also, sort of grace is a foundational concept that is more profound than forgiveness, although they're very closely
Hmm.
related, and then a lot of people get them a bit confused. But a lot of people also get happiness and joy
Yes.
confused.
Yes.
And joy is really this foundational, it's a background program that it is impervious to any of your circumstances, that it just continues to run no matter what's happening. You could be in
Yeah.
prison or
Hmm.
sick in a hospital, you could be dying, and you
And you
could
can
still
still find joy.
you can still find joy.
I found joy in prison when I found a dead leaf on the ground. I don't know why I was so fascinated with that dead leaf, but
Yep,
a
yep.
curled up leaf, and I wrote a poem about it and I thought about it forever. But joy is,
It's a stabilizing effect that
yes.
joy is, whereas
Hmm.
happiness is responding to a joke. It's
Yes.
laughing.
Yes.
It's enjoying circumstances around you, but
Hmm.
joy is always there.
And happiness gets all the top billing.
Yes.
What do you do to be happy? Are you happy? What's your
Yep.
happiness level? Nobody ever gives any thought to joy. And, for most of my life, that was my story. I didn't have time for joy because I believed duty and purpose and deadlines were so much more important. And I could let joy come in when I was finished with all that. And I went to a women's retreat when we lived in Sedalia, and I walked into this little cabin, and there was a table and chair in there, and the word joy on the wall. And I think, for some reason, it was different that day. Maybe I was in a more contemplative mood. Maybe I was away from my phone and the computer and the distractions, and I was out in the woods. But,
I'm fascinated that in that
uh
story,
huh.
there's an example of surely you didn't go for 50 some odd years in your life without ever seeing the word joy printed
Right,
anywhere.
right.
But that particular day you saw it and it struck you a
And it
certain way,
meant it, I got it.
more
I
profoundly.
understood what
Yeah.
it was, and I realized I'd wasted so much time trying to keep it at bay so I could get my work done.
If only we could be so inspired by, if you could just choose, if you could push a button somehow that just turns on that inspirational thing where you can just absorb and internalize,
Mhm.
well, in this case, joy. But there's lots of things in the world that we just sort of, we overlook them. We know them in our brains, we in our minds, we can absorb the content and the information, but until it actually strikes our heart in such a way that we can really appreciate what it really truly means, which is what happened with you that day at that
Mhm.
retreat. To
Yeah.
see joy and
And since
yeah.
I was introduced to joy that day, now it's at the top of my mind all the time. And I don't ever take it for granted, and I don't ever push it away when it
The
comes.
Bible doesn't say much about happiness, but joy is sewn right into the
Mhm.
fabric of everything in the
Mhm.
Bible. And I think that's fascinating because I don't think that God of the Bible or Jesus I don't think the example being void of happiness means that we can't be happy.
Hmm.
It just means that that's not really the focus.
Yeah. I think animals feel joy,
Mm,
but I don't think they feel happiness. I think happiness maybe is a human made concept.
perhaps. I do know that prisons are human-made concepts.
Oh, they're definitely human made.
Yeah.
The worst of human
So
beings.
when was John Maynard born?
He was born on Christmas Day, which is today.
Mm.
So, we always dedicate part of our episode to John Maynard. So this is his moment. Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday, John. So John passed away 4 months ago.
4 months ago
approximately,
today.
today.
Not even approximately.
exactly today.
August 25th.
Interesting. So he passed away 4 months ago, and he was yet incarcerated. And I wish that he was still here because, I'm glad that he's in a more peaceful place.
Hmm.
I'm glad that he's moved on and he's no longer in prison. I'm glad that death was more important. Freedom was more important to him than death.
Yes,
That death,
it was.
he'd rather embrace death than to
He
continue
wasn't-
to be incarcerated.
He was never afraid of dying.
He was never
He
there.
was
yeah.
just afraid that if he did die and he was in prison,
I'm not afraid of dying.
that
either.
he'd be buried on prison grounds. And
I'm ready. I was ready when I was 30. I was ready to die. But
I'm not afraid of it either.
yeah.
I've come to kind of be looking forward to it.
Yeah, in a
I
weird
think-
kind of way.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
that's true.
Hmm.
Which also I think is a part of joy,
Yeah,
not happiness.
I agree.
I'm not happy about dying, but I'm
Mhm.
joyful about it.
Hmm.
So John Maynard is now gone, but he's not he's not buried on prison grounds,
Right.
which was his fear.
Yes.
Instead, he's with us in the form
Yes,
of ashes
he's sitting
here.
right over here on
Yeah.
my bookcase, being a part of
John
everything we
loved
do
you.
every day. Yes, he did. I
Yeah.
loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's what was freeing,
Yes.
not just spiritually,
Hmm.
but physically. That's what was the root of the escape.
Yes, it was.
And the whole story of the
Mhm.
escape, that whole massive thing that took place in 2006 is just it's an amazing story. I think you've written a book about it.
I have.
Yeah.
I have. And you know what? I have another book I just finished. You haven't even read it yet. I've been talking to you about it. But it
Interesting.
is the love story.
Yeah. Well, Christmas
Hmm.
and New Year's, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I hope that
I hope your Christmas is filled with joy.
joy. Yeah, that's right. So joy is a very important part of it. Let's just keep it short.
Yeah.
We love everybody out there.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for listening. You mean the world to us. You're helping us to make a difference.
From Chris and Toby Dorr at Two Doors
Two
Down.
doors down. It's about time.
It's about time.
Let's try it again and say it together. Two doors down.
Two doors down.
It's-
One more time. No. Let's go together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Two doors down. It's about time. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next year.
Ho, ho, ho.
Merry Christmas. Love you, Chris.
Love you, Toby.